Detroit, beer is being rationed in Britain right in the middle of the World Cup. And the reason is the shortage of carbon dioxide, CO2. Now, obviously, the CO2 makes the beer, or at least particularly in lager case, it makes the lager frothy and it gets the beer out from the cellar. And it also makes soda drinks fizzy. But several plants in Europe have been closed for maintenance. And it's not only beer that's being affected by this CO2 shortage. Join me at the conveyor belt as I'll show you the sort of issues. So, first of all, Heineken has warned that some kegs from some brands, including Amstel, may not be available in Britain. One wholesaler is rationing beer and cider sales to prevent stockpiling. Coca-Cola has been pausing production for short periods. Deliveries are unaffected at the moment. But think about the CO2 and think about what's going to happen when somebody opens this and the CO2 gets used up. CO2 is used for other things. For example, it's animals that are being slaughtered, they're stunned first using CO2, pigs and chicken. The result could be a shortage of meat and poultry. And when you want to keep salad fresh, it's used to extend the shelf life of various salad items. It's even used to deliver frozen food. The delivery firm Ocado is urging customers to try fresh food instead. Whichever way you look at it, it would seem that things are going backwards in the cause for CO2, at least until they manage to start production again. Earlier, I spoke to Bridget Simmons, the head of the British Beer and Pub Association. She's putting a brave face on the lack of CO2.
We've definitely got shortages, but I'll be honest and say Booker are just being cautious about this. There's no suggestion that they're running out of beer. What they're worried about is people stockpiling. We have got a CO2 shortage, but we are still saying there's plenty of beer to buy in the supermarket, there's plenty in the pubs, and please go to the pub and watch the games, particularly England tomorrow. And if your favourite drink isn't available, then that's an opportunity to try something else.
Oh, always good for a bit of marketing there, Bridget. But tell me, I mean, the CO2 that goes into, the carbon dioxide that goes into beer, I mean, what, it gives the fizz?
Yes, I mean, there's two parts to this. So in lager, you need CO2 to produce beer. You don't need to do that for cask ale, which we drink a lot of in the UK. But when you go to the pub, you need the CO2 to take the beer from the cellar to the pump, unless you've got a hand pull or you're serving it direct from the cask.
Right, now, how important is the World Cup to your members in terms of increased business? Because I know, obviously, that various relaxing of restrictions in terms of showing the matches, in terms of licensing laws. If England obviously gets further, one would expect there to be a reduction or a loosening of the opening hours and that sort of thing. So how important is the World Cup?
It's really important, and actually, unlike Brazil 4 years ago, where we had to ask for extended hours because the matches were later, this time the first two matches are at 7 p.m. and the one in the middle was actually at 1 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon, so it's been much more favourable to pubs. Added to that, we've got some fantastic weather in England at the moment, so all good reasons to go to the pub. We predicted that we would actually pour 14 million extra pints of beer during the group stages of the World Cup, and we're actually hoping that we'll have about 6 million more tomorrow night. And if England go on, as indeed they're almost guaranteed to now into the last 16, then we would hope that would be another 10 million extra pints, and that's worth £42 million to the UK economy and probably 6.4 million to the Treasury.
Yeah.